Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 5 Tips and Tricks for Careers in Athletics. I'm your host, Dr. Maury Mosovitz, with my all-time, most favorite, most wonderful, best, stupendous co-host, Jen Albanese. Hi, Jen.
Hi, Maury. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. You can't talk when the countdown is starting.
I love to try and get you to giggle. Well, it's inevitable. I could just like look at you into the camera and you'll still giggle, but whatever. So today we have Hanna Lewandoski, who is awesome. We worked with her. She did some amazing content creation, just a super nice person and super talented.
Oh my God. She's one of the best that I've ever seen. So she's fantastic and so excited that she's going to jump on with us and chat, and she's the best. So we are so appreciative.
You asked me to talk about my reel game that's been going on with my Instagram posting.
I mean, to go along with, obviously, we're not at Hanna's level of like video
not
production.
Even close.
Okay, we're not even like her pinky finger. But yes, Maury, if anybody is following Maury on social media, he's really upped his game in like posting reels and videos. Obviously, everybody saw we posted our reel.
Yeah, I'm not even near that for most part.
From New Year's Eve, but he's been really doing good. So let's talk about it. Tell us how you've been doing.
So I've been trying to get myself more out there, do some fun stuff. Like I feel like I'm just like kind of playing around with it and like being entertaining. So one of the things I'm doing is like not a lot of people see someone snow blowing. So I like but now the Albany side of the family has said I do too many snow blowing reels. Like everybody has an opinion. I was driving down the street today and my neighbor like goes, stop. I was dropping something off at a friend's house. I stop and I open the window and he goes, you're doing too much on social media. I was like, oh, okay. Yep.
Oh, no. See, I think like it's good. It's fun. Like it's a different thing that's not something that you usually do.
Nope.
And I think it's great. Now, you did do 2 snowblowing videos.
I did 3 snowblowing videos.
Okay. Well, maybe a little too many on the snowblowing, but we do live in the Arctic. So that's pretty much all we do all day, every day. But no, I think you've been really good. Like you taught me like different things on how to shorten things and like match up the music. And I mean, obviously like a lot of people do reels but if you're not like familiar in it, you need to kind of learn all the do's and don'ts. So
the ones I've been
enjoying
the most are the ones with the family. Like that's the ones that I actually have liked the most because it's like a way to capture things that we're doing and like keep them and like memorialize them. So I have been enjoying that, but like the kids like doing with me. So we did like a couple ones here or there. So we'll see, but I get a lot of feedback and sometimes I don't.
Well, everybody at the lunch yesterday was like, Maury needs to teach us how to do reels. So
I do get a lot of that question.
I think people like it.
It's not like, oh, I love Maury's reels. It's like Maury needs to teach us how to do them. So I don't know if that's the same thing. Like those are 2 different things. Like, oh, they're wonderful, or Maury's really talented at putting them together, but they're not that interesting. So.
Well, maybe we need to do like a reel of us recording a podcast that you could do. That'd be kind of cool.
I could do a behind the scenes reel, and I'm really like into like what the music is. I get a lot of input from people on that. So I will do a behind the scenes reel of podcasting. I think we should.
That'd be so cool. And then we could share it on our socials. Yeah. That'd be really, really cool. I love it. But if anybody has any other ideas for Maury, please share them.
I am getting into trying to create some fun stuff. And if it interests you, let me know. I will add it. I had a request for some of my eating behaviors now. I just put something up for an overnight oats thing. So we can see how this goes and see how I can grow the interest. Probably not by a lot, but we'll see.
Hey, listen, I'm all for it. We need to do more on our socials and our own personal socials.
So you're going to have to capture yourself and send me your side of it because I can only do my side from this.
I will.
This way.
I'll just wait. You just have to put your phone up and record yourself.
Yeah, we got to do different angles. You got to. Well, we can get into strategize things. We can go for it.
I love it. Hanna will be able to give us
maybe we should have Hanna after the podcast tell us how to actually do this. So after these messages, we will have Hanna here.
Are you a loyal 5 Tips and Tricks podcast listener? If not, now is the time to start. Get all your info and fun content on the podcast by following us on all our social channels at @AthCareerPod. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast is a part of Athletic Career Consulting. Make sure to reach out to us. The one-stop shop for everything is our website, www.athcareer.com. Remember, follow and like us on @athcareerpod, rate and review us, and get all your info at www.athcareer.com. Okay, everybody, welcome back. Maury, would you like to introduce our guest today?
Very much. From the classrooms to the sidelines, today's guest has built an incredible career in sports media and creative storytelling. Her journey began at the University of Maryland College Park, where she studied journalism at the Philip Merrill College of Journalism from 2018 to 2021, earning her BA in journalism. After graduating, she stepped into the world of collegiate athletics as a video intern for Florida State University football, producing motivational videos and assisting with game day operations. In 2022, she advanced to assistant director of creative content for the University of Pittsburgh's women's basketball team, creating dynamic social and recruiting content. Her creative expertise continued to grow at Syracuse University Athletics, where she served as a producer and videographer from 2023 to 2025, managing content from championship caliber programs and coordinating coverage for 20 intercollegiate teams. Today, she's leading storytelling efforts at Duquesne University Athletics as Assistant Director of Creative Content, producing hype videos, overseeing major media projects, and bringing athletic moments to life across multiple platforms. Please join us in welcoming Hanna Lewandoski. Welcome, Hanna.
Guys, thank you so much for having me.
Hi, Hanna. We miss you so much.
We do miss you.
I miss you.
We're excited that you're doing so well over in Pittsburgh and, killing it for Duquesne, but we are glad to be able to see you. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me. I feel so honored.
Selfishly, I was like, we need to have Hanna on the podcast. I miss her. We haven't talked to her. I mean, it's been, you left over the summer, right? It was kind of.
This is about 6 or 7 months now. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, we miss you, and we're just very happy for you and glad that we could catch up today. This is great. So
yeah, thank you again. You guys can just call me. You don't have to invite me on a podcast to catch up.
I know.
This seems to be the way that we catch up with so many people. We don't know why, but this seems to be our form of communication lately. So we'll just go from there.
I love it.
Well, with that, with your amazing creative abilities, we'd love to hear some tips.
Yeah, first things first. A little cliche, but something I really live by is, get good at doing the little things right. Or how you do anything is how you do everything. I think that's kind of been a big key to my success over my career, is just kind of, it's always in the details, and it's, in our world, we kind of get, the days run together, basketball season gets long, football season gets long. You kind of get stuck in your routine a little bit. But I think the thing that really brings me down, getting back into my routine, is just remembering to do the little things and not let those things get lost in just your everyday hustle and bustle, whether it's from your camera techniques of, your white balance, and make sure you got your SD cards, your batteries are charged, and, your bag's packed and all those things. But I think just how you approach everything, doing it right the first time, taking care of things the right way the first time around is really important. I think that really shows that you care about the quality and the product that you're putting out, when you really, show people that, the details matter just as much as the larger things that you're working on.
Do you find when you're looking at other people's content sometimes to be like, oh, they really could have, if they would have just white balanced that, or if they just spent an extra second by do you feel like that's something that you can pick up in your own world and say, hey, yeah, this is something I draw into, or where do you pick that up from when you were doing it?
I try not to be too judgmental of other people's work, because I'm like, oh, are they judging me? But I do sometimes, when I do watch something that maybe I'm like, it kind of is a reminder to myself of hey, let's not get, too lost in it that we're forgetting to do the basic things. I think sometimes, in the creative world, people try to really shoot for the moon. And sometimes you really just have to keep it basic level. Literally just holding your camera still. That's a great start, not having shaky hands, really knowing where to be in the right moments. Really the basic things, I say always take you a lot farther than trying to do too much all the time. But yeah, I try to really just, keep it, if we can do the little things right, then we can start to move on to the bigger things. But if we start to mess those things up, then it's okay, we're back to square one.
I mean, it's similar to like sports, like knowing the fundamentals of the game.
Exactly.
Like if you can't make a free throw, like we're not going to win the game. Like
what are we doing? Yeah.
What are we doing here? So it's like it's the same thing. You got to have the basics and the fundamentals of what you're doing at your job across the board before you can step it up a level. So I think that's a good thing. And people who are like always in a hurry or like trying to, let's go to the next level, let's get to the next job. They kind of lose those basic things, and doing those things really well. So I love that. It's very similar to sports. I mean, that's what it is,
I think too, like it also is like one of those things of the higher I get in my career, the older I get, the wiser I get, hopefully. It kind of shows that like nothing is above where you're at. You know what I mean? Like you're never above a certain degree of work or, a certain task, like especially as I start to mentor like younger interns and students here at Duquesne. It's like, okay, I have to be able to show you that I can go out there and do it myself, no matter what the task may be, and I'm not too good to do it, so you're not too good to do it either. You know what I mean? It's kind of starting from the ground up.
I think the other thing that I've always been impressed by you and a lot of your colleagues that I've worked with in the past is like, you only get one shot at these. Like for the most part, I mean, sometimes you guys filmed like pre-staged fun stuff, but like for the mass majority, it's like, okay, that free throw is only going to happen once, or that dunk, or that shot. And like, if you don't have that down, like you don't get that moment. And I find it so incredible. Like, okay, you're so set on the details and doing the basics to even get to that point where you can get, that moment. And it's, to me, just a really impressive skill.
Yeah, it really is. Like, it's kind of brings you to like those times like you talked about where you really are focused on getting the shot. Say in a triple overtime situation, or win over a top 5 team, or a championship moment. Really, so much can be going on at one moment. Maybe like fans storm the court, or like just any type of moment that you're not usually predicting. Sometimes like it's so easy to get lost in, oh my gosh, there's so many things happening at once, I want to get all of it. But sometimes realistically the goal in shooting is you got to get at least one thing really well rather than like everything not so well. And so those are kind of like just the fundamentals of shooting that every day, whether you're in a practice, a shoot around, a game type situation, those are going to prepare you for when you are in those crunch time moments, that you kind of have that just maturity about you, that ability to take a step back, have a like deep breath and be like, okay, like we're in overtime now, like you're kind of almost like the athletes, like you're preparing of like any situation is going to come my way. And I know I have the skill and the preparation to be able to capture it. So it's whether you're at the NFL level, professional level, whether you're at collegiate, whether you're just starting out, like those fundamental skills are like the most important thing that you're going to carry for realistically the rest of your career.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Hanna, we knew you'd have good ones. Okay. Starting off strong. Number 2.
Number 2 for me, this is a big thing. I always say consistency over flash and hard work over talent. And what I mean by this is, as I've been around the block in my couple years I've been in this game, but I've been on the side of where I've been interviewing and where I've been the person interviewing someone else, say in a job position. And for me, I think if I'm someone who I'm considering taking someone on for a role, I really, again, value consistency. And I think, especially in the creative field, I think there's so much going on. There's so much advancement and like trends, particularly, and people want to be flashy and something that sticks out. And that's certainly important. You want your brand to stick out. But I think I always try to preach to interns is I would rather take someone who shows up every day, is incredibly hardworking, maybe isn't the most skilled yet, but we can teach you and nurture you. But I'd rather have someone who has a great attitude, really has a drive to do what they want to do, versus someone who maybe is really talented but doesn't have the same drive or doesn't have the same motivation or commitment to it. Because at the end of the day, like having a great creative eye is amazing, but I'm going to need someone who I can rely on to get the job done, and who I know is dependable, and who's going to be there on time, and be in a spot where I need them, when I need them, that kind of thing. So for me, I always, again, try to preach to my students, like, you may not have the most creative skill to start off, and that's perfectly fine, because again, we can teach any type of camera technique and editing ability, but it's the fundamental kind of soft skills that you're looking for. Is like, can you work with people? Are you like, can you communicate really well? You know, I think sometimes people confuse, okay, we're always behind a camera, which is one thing, but it's really a people job at the end of the day, because you work so much, and you have to have the innate ability to have people be comfortable with you and kind of open up to you and show you who they are, and as an athlete and not an athlete. So I think, again, like I always try to preach, like I'll take those soft skills, those really good qualities over someone who maybe has incredible skill but doesn't always have those basic fundamentals that we're looking for.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say Hannah's been on a number of my search committees, and she's a fantastic interviewer. And I really, relied on your opinion, and because I think you're right. It is about those soft skills, and if they're reliable and that kind of stuff. So, you can have all the talent in the world, but you also have to back it up with, those skills to be able to work well with others and be, reliable. So I think that's really great. And, I think people in the creative field are like, well, I'm just going to sell myself on my flash. And it kind of goes hand in hand. You need a little bit of both. So, I love that you said that. And she was an excellent interviewer. It was really, really good.
Yeah, it is something that I tried to, again, I had been through enough job interviews of my own to kind of get a feel for kind of what people were looking for. And then it was that nice challenge of when I was on the other side of it, of like, okay, what would I be looking for? What things would I really value in someone bringing on? And again, like, being easy to work with is such a skill, across the board. I don't think people realize that.
That all the time.
Really important.
All the time.
Yeah, and it's just like, are you a reasonable human being, and are you going to be kind and just be respectful of the people around you? Like, I think that's, again, such a skill that's so important. And again, I would rather take someone who I know is going to be a great teammate to me and the people around me than someone who just, there's work may make my eyes like drop, but again, at the end of the day, when we're day 90 million into the basketball season and we're all running on 3 hours of sleep, I'm going to take someone who I can really count on and I know will be dependable, because that's at the end of the day really what matters.
And those people won't be around very long. It's just the longevity of that situation is never, it's really cool at the beginning. There's a lot of excitement, and then it kind of wears off in a way, because you can develop and have a lot of people that can do really cool things. But when your personality and the way that you're dealing with people is unkind, it just won't be successful in the end, in the long term.
No,
so
not at all.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
So good.
Good. Number 3.
Okay. Number 3, this is really for all my teammates out there, my good teammates. Understand your role. And what I mean by this is this goes into being able to work with others. Is I think something that, again, has kind of led to my success is, especially when I got to Syracuse and I was working in a larger athletic department with a lot of other moving pieces and parts. I think something that I got really good at is knowing what my role was to other people and what they needed me for and when they needed me and what their needs were, and how do I fit those needs in a way that is going to work with them. Because I think in the creative space, a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, there's definitely good reason to do things in the way that you want to do them and in a way that feels like you. But at the same time, when we're helping a marketing department, a communications department, a direct team, and we're working with a lot of different personalities and people who have different roles and maybe don't always understand what our creative role is and what our creative process is. Sometimes it's better for us to just understand, how can we best help you? And where does my piece fit into your puzzle? You know what I mean? My project may, at the end of the day, feel like the most important piece of work I've ever done. But to you, it may be just another part of game day operations. And that's perfectly fine. So let me kind of work into how your schedule is working and what themes are fitting your, wants and needs. Because I think sometimes people get a little lost in it of like not really, and it's not to say like, oh, you have to like know your place or anything like that, but it's just like when you know where your piece fits in the puzzle, it takes a lot of stress off the table and a lot of like tension and stuff like that. Like I think when we all kind of understand where we work within each other's day and what we have going on in our work day, you know, like when I know that you have a really crazy day setting up a game and all that stuff, if I can perfect my little project to make your day easier or your game day operation easier, great. So then when I have a shoot day and you need to help me, like, and you understand like, okay, like your role is like really small in my day, but it's really important. Like, and you can, like, it's just, it goes in tandem, you know what I mean? And so I think understanding again, like how we work well, especially when you are interacting with, you know, a lot of coaches and a lot of different personalities, like learning to work with, I think particularly coaches is definitely a skill, but also on the administrative piece. Again, knowing where you work and fit in the system is so important because I think it just saves you so much stress on the back end of like things getting lost in translation and like things getting misconstrued and like, yeah. I don't know if that made any sense.
Yeah,
but
no, it makes a lot of sense. And I actually would say I found that you would even take it like farther. So like you would always be really set on what your role is and what you need to do. But because people had confidence in you and were clear, like you became a collaborator, right? So like a lot of these discussions were like, okay, well, Hannah, how could we maybe do this better? And like, how could we fit stuff in? And that's, you know, I think about you and Liv and like how you would play off of each other and like make each other's work even kind of build even more on it. And I think that's just such an amazing skill because, you know, you're covering your area, you know what each other wants, but you build this relationship to say, okay, well, we can elevate each other too by doing it really well and playing our roles and being able to be teammates with each other. So I find that to be awesome because there was no question that like you did your role, it was covered, no one had to worry about what you were doing. But at the end of the day, that even made you more valuable because it opened up dialogues and conversations and to even make things, you know, hey, you know, if people felt comfortable, if we just tweak that a little bit, this will be an even better outcome. And I think those are the things that people don't realize, that like cover what you need to do and it will open up those avenues for it to be even more valuable and impressive. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, and I also too, I think something I also really enjoyed about just working in the athletic department was really seeing what else went on and how people did their jobs. To me, that was always really interesting. Just seeing, I mean, people don't really realize what all goes into making it happen.
Right,
and,
not at all.
And I think like I kind of like enjoyed like just learning and absorbing that, and I think it also allowed me to almost like be 2 steps ahead of like once I kind of know what your operation is, I can kind of like anticipate what maybe some of your needs are going to be, and then kind of help, you know, bypass some of the process or just make things more efficient or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I really enjoyed just being a student of the game. I mean, I still do. There's still so much I like love to learn and ask questions about, you know, people in facilities or marketing or whoever. Just like I love tinkering with their brain and like seeing again, because again, it just goes into the better I can understand your role, like the best I can help to like service, you know, the greater good and make things go smoothly.
Awesome.
Yeah. I loved how you said about how you help each other. Like if my day is crazy and then like your day is crazy and how we help each other. I mean, you did that all the time. Like you always got me videos on time when I needed to submit them, or, you know, and then if we were doing a shoot day, like I was always made sure I was on time so we could stay on time and keep everybody on track. And like, again, I think that the efficiency piece and working together as a team, kind of how you started with this of like, you know, knowing and understanding what your role is and how it fits in and how you can help each other. Because I don't think a lot of people try to do that. And I think doing that only makes everybody's job more efficient and more successful. So I love that one. Really good.
Okay. Number 4, you're doing great.
Number 4.
This is more pertaining for creatives, but I'm sure this really applies to everyone. But really knowing, as a creative, really knowing and understanding your creative limits. And there's 2 pieces to that. One, you have to know your creative limits in terms of yourself. And I think really understanding your workflow, what causes you stress, what things you excel on, what things you need to work on. I think for me, I've gotten better at this the older I've gotten. more seasons I've been through, like just knowing of, like I know my limits of where to push and when to kind of pull back, and what even parts of maybe the year a little bit more stressful, maybe there's certain times where I'm like, okay, like I'm really near my limit, I need to like take some time for myself and like go touch some grass and like connect with reconnect with something.
Go for a run.
Then that's for me. That's for me.
Run.
That's for me. I would run all day if I could, but it's those things that like really, I think creative energy is a little different of like, it is something you really have to do recharge, because I have felt it at times when, like I know my battery is low and ideas aren't coming, and you kind of hit this block, and sometimes that can really happen. Like, the creative world moves so quickly, and like the athletics world moves so quickly, but you kind of have to recognize yourself of where your limits are, where you can best serve yourself, because you can't serve others if you can't serve yourself first. And I think like that's really important, especially like in college athletics. You do see a lot of creative people burn out and leave the industry, and it happens a little bit too often. And it takes being in the right space and in the right collaborative environment and in an administrative position where people will really support you. That's really important. Finding the kind of right people to surround yourself with is really important. So that's like, again, for longevity purposes, that's the best thing I can like teach people, is just get to know yourself and what your limits are. And the other piece of that is knowing and understanding your creative limits from your resources that are given to you, and what's within your limits, because this is something that like it's hard in the creative world, especially in college athletics where we are right now. Is like there are some really great creative brands out there that people are just smashing it, and everyone wants that. But the reality is not everyone can have that, because not everyone's putting the money into it, putting the salaries, just the number of people, especially when you look at, some departments, like I will speak from personal experience here at Duquesne. Like the great thing is I'm surrounded by people that really understand where we're at and what our expectations are. And I'm confident to say that I think our expectations are relative with our resources. And it's not too much, it's not too lopsided, because that's where you get in kind of a difficult position creatively, is when people are asking a whole lot and not providing the same kind of resources. And that's a tough position, because as a creative, it's like what you want to produce the best work possible, but there's physical limitations to what you can do,
right
because if you're a department of 2 people, you can't literally put the creative output of 10 people. It's just not physically possible. So there's that. And I think understanding that as a creative is really important, because that just helps you maintain your sanity in all of it, and just understanding if I'm one person and there's only so much I can do, and that is okay. And I'm not a bad creative because I can't do what these other schools or teams are doing. It's just the actual limitations of our jobs. And so I think, again, having a really good understanding of that is really important, especially because, imposter syndrome is real, and comparison, especially there's not many jobs like the creative world where like other people's work is directly in your face every single day, that continuous comparison. And so I try not to get too caught up into it. Like, sometimes I'm a little jealous. I'm like, dang, that's a really cool thing. I wish I could have come up with that idea first, but but I try not to get too deep into it, because it's just like, again, I don't want it to negatively impact how I see myself or my work. And so I just think those are 2 really important things, again, for longevity, for someone's career, to understand, again, where you are mentally, emotionally, like managing your stress well, allowing yourself to then feed into yourself creatively. And then on the other hand, knowing what are the barriers that I face in this job, and what can I achieve, what can I get out of it without, again, burning out and eventually like having to leave altogether.
Yeah, because creative, we're always asking for more. We're always like, we need another video. We need more of this. We need more of that. Yeah. So being able to go into it with like a boundary, basically, and understanding like what you can push yourself to and what you can do from a resource standpoint, and the expectation and having all those boundaries kind of align will only help you, like you said, for your longevity, because we're always going to want more. I mean, marketing's always going to want more, development's always going to want more, communications and social we're always going to want more from the creative team, but having those boundaries set will just help you in the long run. So that's that you said it so perfectly, like literally perfectly.
No, it's literally something that, again, I always have to remind like my students here, even when they're looking at jobs. I'm like, okay, like when you're being in the interview process, that's a great, like, those are things you kind of have to like ask about it. Like, just as something that I asked about here at Duquesne. For me, being honest, it was my first school that I was looking at that I was at the mid-major level. I'd only been at Power 4, Power 5 institutions. And so it was something that was really important to me of like, okay, before I step into this, like, I just want to know, like, is this going to be the right fit for me? Like, like, how do you guys really, really see it? And luckily, fortunately for me, I liked their answers. And so then it's worked out that it's been pretty true to that. But it is something like I do try to kind of be wary to my students of make sure you're asking the right questions before you take something on, and make sure you're trying to like seek out the right people that really understand. Again, I've kind of been in most jobs I've had, like I've worked with really good people above me that have kind of really guided me or protected me in certain times. And so, for young creatives especially, because you're always trying to like just prove yourself and do the most. And I think while that's great and you want to achieve so much so quickly, protecting yourself and your creativity has to be at the forefront.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, Jen, last question.
Here's the big one. All right, Hannah, what do you know now that you wish you knew then? So what do you know now at this point in your career that you wish you knew when you first started?
One thing I know now is that I understand that my life is happening right in front of me. And what I mean by that is, I think when I started out, I was an intern, making $12 an hour. So like, I knew, I was like, okay, I'm only going to be here for like a year. Right. And I think a lot of my first couple of jobs, like I was very much I was always looking at that next step. I kind of always told myself, oh, I'll be here for a year, I'll move on, I'll do something else. Like, like this is only temporary. And I think the trap that I got myself into is I always had that in the back of my mind of, oh, I'll only be here for a year. Or the other side of, oh, I just moved here. Like, I'm new here. Like, I'm still settling in, that kind of thing. And I think for me, I was someone who, when I moved somewhere new and like didn't know anyone or wasn't comfortable in the area, I kind of threw myself into the work because that was what was comfortable. And then you kind of blink and a year has gone by. And I was like, seeing all these places, and I was like, I've lived here for a year and I don't know this place and I haven't connected with this place, and what are those personal connections that I have outside of work? And I couldn't really I didn't have those things fulfilling me outside of just work. I kind of got in this mindset of, oh, I'm here for work, like my job is why I'm here. And in reality, no, your life is there. Your life brought you there, and your life is happening outside of what you're doing just on your 9 to 5. And so I think having a better connection to, having a work-life balance as much as you can, or really, again, when you're young and it's difficult, and no one really prepares you for that out of college, the life stuff, right? The work is fine, but like, okay, now you're in a space where you don't have your friends living right next to you down the hall, and you're not meeting people in your classes, and you're not like just having that natural social connection. That's something that I really struggled with. And again, my first few years, and I think I finally got better at that. Luckily, when I moved to Syracuse, and I realized just like, again, that's kind of that creative thing of like, you need like things outside of your work life that are inspiring you and like recharging you, and like having a connection to that place is so important. And I think I've seen a lot of creatives struggle with that, and kind of like, when work is the only thing you have, and then the work becomes stressful or the work is not fun, then like life is not fun. And it's like, okay, but in actuality, there's a lot more to this place and to you than just the work. And I think I would have, if I had really accepted that and tried to push myself outside my comfort zone and like push myself outside of work, I think some earlier years I would have had a little bit more of an enjoyable time or just been a little bit happier. I think I was always kind of in the back of my head, like thinking, what's my next step? Like, what's that next thing I'm doing? When am I applying for my next job? When am I like updating my resume and my portfolio and like all these things? And I think now the benefit of where I'm at in my life now is that's not my first priority is what's next. Like, I think, my priority now is what's tonight, what's tomorrow, like what am I doing with my friends, like what are we having for dinner, like what, like where am me and my fiance gonna go on our next date around town. Like those are the things I've kind of prioritized. There's family things, I mean, I'm trying to plan a wedding, like all these things, like the other things that are pulling me away from work, like I can really just go home and shut it down. And I'm someone who like I don't really work from home. Like if I'm doing work, I'm in the office because like home is home and that's my like peace. So I think like just really emphasizing that. And I try to really like drill it into our students here. Like it's going to be hard. It's going to be so uncomfortable to like move to a new place where you know no one. And you have no connection other than your job and the like 10 people you work with. Like, but you have to, meet people outside of your work. And you have to like go and do things on your own and like, go to dinner by yourself or go to the movies by yourself or like go do things and get used to being alone, but like challenging yourself. And some people maybe are like really naturally outgoing. I am like slowly introverted at heart. So like that was something I really struggled with. And so I think like, again, it would have made the work more enjoyable for me in the long run had I really had those connections. And I think then it kind of showed me like when I did leave Syracuse and it was heartbreaking for me, like it showed me like, okay, like you've succeeded in some way because you have a personal connection to this place. And there's still moments even now, I'm like, oh, like I really miss, like I long for it, like I'm yearning for the Syracuse winter, there's not even that.
No.
Don't yearn for that.
It's like -20 outside right now.
Of course. Of course. But you know what I mean? Like it showed me that like, okay, you've done a good job because there's things you really miss that you're leaving behind. And again, I think I've gotten the best at mastering that. Cause I think it was like one of those things where I got older and I like was like, blinked and it was like 5 years. I'm like, I've been in this for 5+ years now. And where were those years? What did I really do in those years? Besides just not working. And so I think as I grow older and I want to live a more fulfilled life, and I want to have a successful career and a career that has longevity, I've come to realize that it's those things that are going to make me successful more at the end of the day is not even like, again, the work that I do at work. It's the work that I do with myself and at home. And like, that's a whole other almost job in itself. But to me, again, it's if you can best serve yourself and best have a great relationship with yourself, it's going to make you so much better, especially creatively. Again, like people don't always realize like it takes, not to be like, I don't know, like cringy, but it takes a lot of heart and soul to like pour your work into this. And it takes vulnerability to like put your creative work out there and have people look at it and judge it and say what they want to say or compare it to other things. And it's an emotional job at the end of the day. It's emotional when you guys understand putting more than 40 hours every week into something, traveling, like your success is like just something that, you really pour into. And so again, I think really serving yourself at the end of the day, and there's no shame in that. You know what I mean? Like, I think we're getting closer, we're getting closer to people really understanding that. But, I even sometimes got to peel back the layers of don't feel guilty. Like, if you need to take a half day for yourself or you need to go home and visit your family, like there's no shame in that. Like if anything, it's better for you in the longevity, in the long run of things. But again, not feeling that guilt, but just understanding like this is what I got to do. This is for me, but it's for the best for everyone as well.
Well, Hannah,
oh my God,
thank you so much. This is awesome. Perfect. Great way to end it. Let everyone know who's out there, like you gotta you got to put yourself in this whole equation. It'll never work. So
absolutely.
So glad to have you. So happy to see you and catch up. And
yes, thank you so much.
Yes,
thank you guys.
Hannah, you're the best, and so many good tips. But yeah, thank you everyone for listening to the podcast. You can follow us on all our socials at AthCareerPod, and like us and rate and review us on all your podcast platforms. And a new episode drops every Tuesday. So thank you, Hannah, and thanks everybody. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
If you like the 5 Tips and Tricks podcast, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. You can rate and review us, including questions that may be answered on future episodes. The 5 Tips and Tricks podcast for careers in athletics is part of Athletic Career Consulting. Check us out at www.athcareer.com. Don't forget to follow and like us on your top social media platforms.